Right now at 10,
students at Riley High School were shocked by a racial message posted in their hallways today. I'm Molly Jurasek, and I'll show you what the students' real intention behind that message is.
Also tonight,
a graphic video shows the exact moment a police officer hit and killed a woman. I'm Veronica Jean Seltzer. It brings no comfort to those who knew her.
plus
The last member of the Elkhart Four is in court today. I'm Eric Crouch, and I'll tell you what Jose Quiroz is asking for and whether or not he got it.
and
I'm Shelley Leggett, and I'll tell you about a new program at the Memorial Health and Lifestyle Center aimed to help those with Parkinson's.
the news starts right now.
This is Fox 28 News at 10.
Good evening. A lot to get to tonight. I'm Tom Powell.
And I'm Farron Franzak. Take a look at what everyone is talking about on social media today. Now, these are drinking fountains at Riley High School. That's in South Bend.
Well, you can read for yourself what the signs say, and as you can imagine, students and staff were shocked when they read that, too.
But as Fox 28's Molly Jurasek reports, the student responsible says there's a serious message behind it.
That's right, Farron. The student who did this says he did it to show his peers he believes racism still exists inside the walls of his high school, saying they just don't want to admit it.
I find it kind of disturbing.
They're trying being racist.
Emotions running high at Riley High School after these signs turned up over the drinking fountains.
It makes our school look like we're racist when we're honestly far from that.
But the student responsible, junior Shane Williams, disagrees.
Racism in Riley is extremely casual.
He says he hears racial comments on a daily basis and wanted to send a message today.
Let's stop being closeted racist and put it on the wall.
That's exactly what he did by putting up these signs.
This is what you guys do on a daily basis, and this has existed before, but you're not really understanding the effects of how it could affect someone deeply.
Williams hopes his message encourages a truly integrated Riley High School. Superintendent Dr. Carol Schmidt released a statement saying there's no place for actions like this at Riley. I explained why Williams put up the signs to South Bend schools to see if they would want to alter the statement they made earlier in the day. I got this response.
This is a real teachable moment for our students.
Principal Francois Bengana says Williams should have checked with administrators before he acted.
If you want to make a point, there's always protocol. Before you react to something, or if you hear something is bothering you, talk to administration.
Now, the principal also tells me tomorrow morning teachers are going to have an open discussion about what happened with students and likely more discussions down the road. As for Williams, he tells me he's on a 5-day suspension and could be expelled. In the newsroom, Molly Jurasek, Fox 28 News.
Well, those lake effect snow showers that have been bothering us for the past couple days here in Michiana are finally moving out of here. Take a look. Here they go. And they're out of here. Well, but more snow is on the way. We got more snow coming tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night. We've got winds going to be picking up tomorrow morning, blowing around the existing snow, and then, of course, the winds will blow around the new snow that's coming. So as a result of the travel troubles that those blowing snow, that blowing snow may cause, National Weather Service has issued a winter weather advisory from 7 o'clock tomorrow morning till 4 o'clock on Saturday for Berrien, Cass, St. Joe, Elkhart, St. Joe, and LaPorte counties, for all the problems that travelers may have with visibility. I'll tell you more about that next snow that's on the way, and then about the next snow that's on the way when I come back in just a couple minutes.
Medic truck that got hit. Person.
A crash that will haunt him forever. New dash cam video replays the moments when an officer hit and killed a woman who was crossing the street in Benton Harbor Township this past fall. The Berrien County prosecutor has released video from that squad car showing the crash.
Yeah, just last week, the jury found that officer guilty. Fox 28's Veronica Jean Seltzer talked to friends of the woman he killed today. She's in our studio now, and VJ, we should point out that we obtained this video from MLive, video that is really difficult to watch.
Definitely, and even with time, the pain has not gotten easier to bear. The video we're going to show you is graphic, so we want to warn you about that, but it does help explain what happened.
She was sorely missed.
Pastor Ryan Wenberg says 48-year-old Kim Bedford loved coming to Hartford United Methodist Church.
Her personality was second to none. She was full of life and energy and so kind to others.
Her church family was shocked when they learned a police car struck and killed her last autumn.
Berrien County Prosecutor Michael Sepik says Patrolman Eugene Anderson was heading to a domestic violence call around 9 p.m. last September. Bedford was walking across the street here, where there's no crosswalk.
I need emergency units to my location.
An autopsy showed Bedford had a high blood alcohol level at the time.
According to the prosecutor, the speed limit on the road it happened on is 35. Anderson was going over 65 miles an hour, which would have been okay had he had his lights and siren on.
You okay? No.
Anderson was fired a month later.
We prayed for the officer of the night when we gathered together as a community, and we continue to pray for him.
Have you seen it?
I have not, and I probably will not.
Bedford's pastor says she worked in the church's food pantry.
She had a servant's heart, you know. She was always willing to serve.
It's that spirit those who loved her miss every day.
She was a part of this congregation, and we'll always miss her.
Anderson is set to be sentenced next Friday. He's charged with a misdemeanor that could mean up to a year of jail time.
So I've got to ask, has the police department made any policy changes since this all happened?
Well, I wanted to ask that exact question of the police chief today. He never responded to me. But when Anderson was fired, they cited violations of departmental procedure and policies as the reason.
All right, VJ, thank you.
Across the country, 5 on-duty police officers are dead in a matter of just 72 hours. In North Dakota, an officer shot late last night died this afternoon. 33-year-old Jason Moser had worked as an officer in Fargo for the past 6 years. It happened during an 11-hour standoff just blocks from the police department. The shooter was also killed.
People are hunting us. And how do you think that sits with us? But yet we wear this badge with honor and pride, and we're going to go out every day and protect our communities.
Moser is only the second Fargo police officer shot and killed in the line of duty in the city's history. To Clayton County now, Georgia now, where and Riverdale City police officer helping serve a drug warrant was shot and killed early this morning. It happened just outside Atlanta. Police say the suspect was also hit by gunfire, and he is in critical condition. 2 police officers killed yesterday in Maryland have been identified. Deputy Patrick Daly was a 30-year veteran of the force, while Deputy Mark Logsden had worked for the county for 16 years. The suspect was also shot and killed in a shootout with the officers at a Panera Bread. Police say a warrant had been out for his arrest for assaulting an officer down in Florida.
The occupation of an Oregon wildlife refuge is over. More than 40 days after the initial takeover, the last 4 people surrendered peacefully to authorities today. Each of them will face a conspiracy charge. Now, that's the same charge those already in custody are facing. That includes the group's leader, Ammon Bundy. The sheriff of the community where it all played out made an emotional plea after it all ended today.
If we can't work through the differences that we found in our little community right here, how can we expect the rest of the nation to work through the division that we face?
The standoff began in January when a father and son were ordered back to prison to finish serving a sentence for federal arson. Bundy came to their defense and took over the refuge with other supporters. An update on a school bus accident that killed an elementary school principal. No charges will be filed against the driver. It was late last month when officials say the bus driver failed to use a parking brake outside an Indianapolis area school, causing the bus to jump the curb, hitting and killing Susan Jordan. The Marion County prosecutor says the driver was not impaired and there was nothing mechanically wrong with the bus. The star witness in the case of an ill-fated Indianapolis insurance fraud scam testified today.
Montserrat Shirley said she and her boyfriend promised his half-brother $10,000 prior to the natural gas explosion that blew up her home, killing 2 neighbors. She said if she hadn't gone along with the scheme, Mark Leonard would have killed her. Leonard was convicted last year for his part. Bob Leonard is on trial now. He's accused of setting the timer that triggered the blast. The only member of the Elkhart Four to plead guilty to murder has a sentence drastically reduced following a hearing in Goshen this morning.
Jose Quiros was one of 5 people who attempted to burglarize an Elkhart home 4 years ago.
Well, one of them was shot and killed by the homeowner, resulting in murder charges against the surviving suspect.
And as Fox 28's Eric Crouch tells us, Quiros asked the court to take another look at his sentence.
Justice for all the Elkhart 4.
All of the Elkhart 4 will get the same sentence now. Family members of Jose Quiros embrace after learning his 55-year plea deal was reduced.
It's just been a long struggle, and I'm glad it's over with.
We're very happy with the results. We think it's the right result.
The same result as the 3 accomplices who challenged felony murder charges and got them tossed by the state Supreme Court, meaning Quiros could be out in months on what's now a 10-year burglary sentence with credit for time served. The prosecution said in court that the 2 sides came to this agreement in good faith after the Indiana Supreme Court dropped the murder charges against the other 3. Prosecutor Vicki Becker announced the agreement in court, and Judge Terry Shoemaker accepted the terms, agreeing it was only fair that since the other 3 accomplices got 10 years, Quiros should as well. One of the accomplices, Levi Sparks, released 2 weeks ago, is seen here getting his first post-prison meal in Elkhart.
I don't even think it's even really hit me yet, to realize I'm really free, it's over with.
Quiros may be able to say the same thing in a matter of months, as a story that has made national news appears to have finally come to an end. In Elkhart County, Eric Crouch, Fox 28 News.
Well, no official release date has been set yet for Quiros. Blake Lehman is the next of the Elkhart 4 expected to be released. His earliest release date is scheduled for September 2nd.
It's amazing to think more than 10 million people in the country have Parkinson's disease. They include Muhammad Ali, actor Michael J. Fox, and the Reverend Billy Graham.
Pretty well-known names. Although the disease is incurable, there is a new program here locally that can help sufferers well after their diagnosis.
Fox 28's Shelley Leggett has those details.
3 and 2 and 1.
This is Pam Ewald. She was diagnosed with Parkinson's in February 2013.
For a while, I got pretty low where I didn't want to go on anymore.
Once very independent, now needing help.
He had to feed me, bathe me, dress me.
Instead of giving up, she decided to take control of her condition.
I honestly didn't know if I could do anything, but I was going to try.
She joined the Climb program at Memorial Health and Lifestyle Center. Fitness manager Sarah Struffling says they started last September.
I didn't know that many individuals struggle with Parkinson's in our community.
Every person improves at a different rate, but the goal is to help them feel more confident in their everyday life.
Making sure they are sitting up straight, taking things home, like taking big steps, using their voice.
Struffling says they have 20 to 30 people attend Tuesday and Thursdays, designed to help improve motor skills and physical health.
Slowly and back to center.
Including Ewald.
We had a handful of participants improve, Pam in particular,
who can now climb stairs with ease and has gone from taking 18 medications to 7.
Here I am today. You'll notice, even if it's slight, but that's enough to feed on, to encourage. It made me feel better, too, about myself.
In South Bend, Shelley Leggett, Fox 28 News.
All instructors with the Climb program are trained and licensed through the Indiana Parkinson's Foundation. Beacon Health System's next 6-week session starts February 23rd.
Well, a group pushing for gay rights is pressing Indiana's governor to give a yes or no answer to a pretty simple question.
And see how he responded during a town hall today down in Kokomo.
How are you responding to all this snowy, cold weather? If it's making you depressed, you are not alone, but there is a solution.
And even though Christmas was like a month and a half or so ago, Mother Nature has decided she wants to let it snow, let it snow, let it snow anyway. I'll have details on the upcoming snows and the last one that just left us in just a couple minutes. And we have our 5-degree guarantee, of course, at the bottom of the hour. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 28 News at 10 with Farron Franzak, Tom Powell, Chief Meteorologist John Fisher, and Sports Director Dean Hubbard. You're watching Fox 28 News at 10. Now back to Tom and Farron.
John wanted me to remind you that he is just the messenger. He's not the guy who creates winter. But winter can be pretty miserable, right? Especially with the 48 hours of lake effect snow we just saw.
Well, a lot of us start to feel like we don't have any energy, or like we just can't wake up, or your eyes aren't fully opened. Well, doctors say that this is pretty normal, and there are ways to fight these winter blues. Even if you love the cold and outdoor winter sports, these shorter days and longer nights can bring on the blues.
This seems to affect us in this area a little more than usual.
It's estimated about 12 million Americans suffer from a type of depression called seasonal affective disorder, or SAD.
It can affect children as well, but they usually don't have quite the same symptoms. They'll get a little more irritable and kind of on edge.
Doctors say in severe cases, people with SAD say they just can't function.
It truly has all the symptoms of depression. So fatigue, lethargy, not interested in doing things, weight gain, sometimes weight loss.
That's because the brain goes through a chemical imbalance due to a lack of sunlight. But you can fight back.
Exercise regularly, get proper sleep, get plenty of rest, eat healthy, go outside actually does help.
But if that doesn't work,
then we look at medications, counseling, and light therapy as well.
It's these light boxes that help synchronize the sleep-wake cycle, and patients do say it helps with their mood. You can find inexpensive light boxes online, but you may need to see the doctor to get the best results.
It's not as simple as just putting a light bulb in front of you, so it should be done with the help of a professional.
Now, if you need some extra help or motivation, here's a tip from health professionals. Now, they say sign up for a fitness class with a friend who you know will hold you accountable if you don't show up. Like when you don't show up for your Weight Watchers weigh-in and
you would never do that, would you?
Not saying any names or anything, but...
She's talking about herself, not me. We're going to both be there tomorrow, though, right?
9 a.m. Yeah. We'll be there.
So you have more health news tonight.
I do. About 2 weeks ago, I brought you Marilyn Byers' story about what she called her biggest flaw, and it was her double chin. Yeah. And I followed her as she was going through a new medical procedure where you don't go under the knife. Well, the swelling has gone down for her last set of Kybella injections, and take a look at her final results. You can clearly see there is a difference after 4 rounds of injections underneath her chin. The average amount of improvement is about 55%. Now, Marilyn says that she has seen a dramatic change in her confidence and her self-esteem.
What is it like now, like you said, actually looking in the mirror and not seeing it?
It's a real boost of self-esteem and self-confidence, and, you know, it just makes you happier. This was for me. I think that self-confidence and self-esteem is a process, and if this is what helps get you there or makes you feel better, so be it.
And Dr. Holly Harris says the injections will continue to work throughout the summer, so you can be sure Marilyn will see more results, and I'll be sure to keep you updated, along with Marilyn as well.
An update now on the Zika virus here in the United States. Officials say the number of cases continues to increase, with 50 confirmed now. It comes as members of Congress reviewed President Obama's request for additional funding. To fight the virus, he wants $1.8 billion.
Is this enough? We think that will cover for the next 1 to 2 years, but there's a lot that we don't know.
CDC officials say they are most concerned about people in the tropical parts of the United States like Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. And they continue to warn pregnant women about traveling to places where Zika is spreading.
Switching gears now, you know him as one of Notre Dame's wide receivers.
But now he has another title thanks to his classmates' votes.
Plus, 2 out of 3 former Lady Irish basketball players are one step closer to making the Olympic team. Dean has the details coming up in sports.
But first here on the news at 10, gay rights advocates say Governor Pence is dodging a pretty straightforward question. Over 50 people are dead in northern Mexico tonight after a prison riot.
Officials say at least 12 others are injured. The governor of Nuevo León, where the prison is, says a fight broke out between 2 rival gangs. He also says there were no reports of escapes, but parts of the prison were damaged and fires set by the inmates. The violence comes just days before Pope Francis is set to visit the country. Big news out of Europe as the U.S. hammers out a ceasefire agreement with Russia. Secretary of State John Kerry and Russian officials meet over military action in Syria. The 2 countries have taken different approaches in fighting ISIS in Syria, and each side accuses the other of bombing hospitals. Defense Secretary Ash Carter was also abroad today at NATO headquarters.
This ministerial marks the beginning of a new stage in the coalition campaign to defeat ISIL.
The coalition is made of over 60 countries, all focusing on a faster campaign plan against ISIS.
Iran took a jab at the United States today after they recreated the capture of U.S. sailors from last month. Parades were held across the country to celebrate the 1979 Islamic Revolution. It included actors dressed as U.S. Navy men on their knees. A photo was also released of one of the real U.S. sailors crying.
To see our guys in that situation on Iranian TV, that's really not okay.
Well, on the same day the sailors were taken hostage, Iran also flew a drone over a U.S. aircraft carrier and gave the guards who detained the sailors medals.
Now, primetime politics.
Democratic presidential candidates Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton meeting on the debate stage for the 6th time tonight. They are debating right now in Milwaukee.
And it comes just days after Clinton's loss in New Hampshire and just over a week until the primary out in Nevada. Well, the candidates once again brought their views on health care and education to the forefront, also tackling their plans on government expansion. Sanders was critical of Republicans, calling them hypocrites for breaking with government. But both candidates agree major criminal justice reform is needed and called attention to racial tensions, something that will be important before heading to South Carolina in 2 weeks.
Well, the debate comes on the same day Clinton got some major support. The Congressional Black Caucus Political Action Committee backing her on her road to the White House.
We believe she's made a difference, and she has helped us and helped this country by helping elect Democrats across the board.
Clinton got 90% of the vote from the board, while Sanders got 0.
GOP candidates are kicking their campaigns into high gear down in South Carolina ahead of the state's primary next Saturday. Well, Ted Cruz had no events today, but boy, is his campaign hard at work, smacking Marco Rubio on immigration in one campaign ad and debuting Donald Trump, the new action figure that pretends to be a Republican. Jeb Bush will be joined by his brother, former President George W., next week. Rubio managed to praise and pummel the Bush family, while Trump defended his recent cursing at some of his rallies.
I thank God that George W. Bush was president of the United States instead of Al Gore on September 11, 2001. But Governor Bush has no foreign policy experience.
As I get closer and closer to the goal, it's going to get different. Once you get to a certain level, it changes. I will be changing very rapidly.
There's already been some evidence of dirty tricks, with several complaints about push polling, mostly aimed at Rubio and Trump.
Here's your Fox 28 Capitol Recap.
An update on the gay rights debate in tonight's Capitol Recap. Freedom Indiana, the group pressing state lawmakers to extend civil rights protections to the LGBT community, is circulating a new video. It shows someone at a town hall in Kokomo today asking Governor Mike Pence to respond yes or no. Should it be legal to fire someone in Indiana based on sexual orientation or gender identity? Here's how Pence answered.
It's a great privilege for me to be your governor. And I don't think anyone should ever be discriminated against because of who they are or who they love.
The governor went on to talk about the state constitution, but he did not give a yes or no answer. So we asked his press secretary to clarify further, but she simply reiterated what the governor expressed at the town hall without providing a direct answer to our question.
And now, here's your Fox 28 News 5-degree guarantee.
All right, my predicted high for today, 21. The actual high for today turned out to be 22, so just a tad warmer than I had predicted. But that's within 5. Here comes that next $28, bringing our jackpot up to $252 that we're going to just give away. Not tonight. I know you want it tonight. Not tonight. It's going to happen someday, and it could happen. It should happen to you. All you got to do is get on fox28.com and get your name in there and register. All right, stay with us. More information on all the snow that's on the way when I come back in just a couple minutes. And here are your day stats in the meantime. Look at the high and the low records, exactly 100 years apart. Wow.
You're watching Fox 28 News at 10 with Tom Powell and Theron Franzak.
A new bill passed by the U.S. House of Representatives yesterday would hold the EPA accountable for informing state officials of contaminated water within 24 hours of discovery.
The bill comes in response to the water crisis out in Flint, Michigan, after high lead levels left residents without drinkable water. The bill goes on, if the state fails to inform the public of contamination, then the EPA has to do it. Chelsea Clinton was also in Flint today, meeting with the first doctor that detected high levels of lead in its water. Clinton was campaigning for her mom, who was busy prepping for the PBS NewsHour debate that's going on right now. The mood in Flint was somber.
Nothing so far from the federal government has gone for health or children. So we've had money for water, immediate water needs, emergency response stuff, some money for infrastructure.
Experts say the effects of Flint's water goes back for decades and affects several generations of people and could have a 20-year impact.
Did you hear about the $500 bill sent to the family of Tamir Rice? He's the Cleveland 12-year-old who was shot and killed by police. Now, the responding officers were not indicted, but just recently, the city sent a $500 invoice to Rice's family for the ambulance used to take him to the hospital. That led to outrage. Today, the city responded.
We have made the determination to withdraw that claim from the probate court. And as the mayor said, we all sincerely apologize to the Tamir Rice family for any additional pain or suffering that this may have caused to them.
The Rice family has filed a civil lawsuit against the city, arguing the officers showed indifference by not giving Tamir emergency aid after the shooting. Well, if Einstein were alive today, he'd say, "I told you so."
Huge news from the scientific community tonight with the discovery of gravitational waves. Einstein theorized almost 100 years ago that the waves are distortions of space-time. Well, their ripples could warp and stretch the very fabric of the universe. Scientists were finally able to detect the waves using laser beams. That's a lot of info there. Well, American astronaut Scott Kelly is heading home after being in orbit longer than anyone in American history. Now, Kelly has been in space for, get this, 500 days. And his 500-day mission, researching the effects of long-term space travel on the human body, of course. Well, if you wanted to know what Earth looks like from the International Space Station, here's your answer.
But it definitely looks very, very fragile and, you know, just kind of like this thin film. So it looks like something that we definitely need to take care of.
Kelly has a twin brother who's also participating in the study. Researchers are looking at the twins to examine how space affects aging.
Please tell me there's not going to be a quiz about gravitational waves, because that was over
I hope
my
not,
head.
but if you don't age when you go into space, I'll go up there for
You're
500
going there,
days.
right.
Yeah.
Notre Dame's men's basketball team isn't in the top 25 right now.
But that doesn't mean you should count them out of going far in this year's tournament.
But first, the election results are in. We'll let you know whether students opted to make an Irish football star their student body president.
It could be a record-breaking year when it comes to Valentine's Day shopping.
Yeah, experts say spending could top $20 billion for the first time in the National Retail Federation survey's history. They say about 90% of Americans celebrate the holiday of love, spending about $150 each on average. I've got more shopping to do, Dan, but it isn't all about flowers, chocolate, and jewelry.
People spend $700 million on Valentine's gifts for their pets. $700 million for a new collar or for a nice chew toy for your pet. Seems like an awful lot of money.
Yeah, it does. Valentine's Day is third behind Christmas and back to school when it comes to consumer spending. A special meeting of the South Bend Board of Parks Commissioners tonight to discuss the status of El Bell Golf Course. It included a presentation from new Parks Director Aaron Perry to bring everyone up to speed on El Bell. Earlier this week, the Common Council voted unanimously to set up a special study committee for the park, something the group El Bell for Everyone is optimistic about.
Ultimately, we believe they'll make some kind of recommendation. We don't know what it will be, but some kind of recommendation that's well researched, that's based on real data, and that is for the common good.
The city decided not to sell the golf course following protests from El Bell for Everyone. El Bell for Everyone says it's important to keep it open as a park and green space.
After 40 years in law enforcement, a local sheriff plans to leave his post. Cass County Sheriff Joseph Underwood announced today he will not seek re-election this year. Underwood has been sheriff for almost a quarter of a century, 24 years. He says it's been a pleasure serving the citizens of Cass County.
Well, the votes have been counted under the Golden Dome, and Notre Dame has a new student body president. Corey Robinson, a junior wide receiver for the Irish, was elected alongside sophomore Becca Blaze. Robinson tweeted out today, "Huge thank you to our amazing campaign team and everyone who supported us throughout the process." According to Notre Dame's student paper, The Observer, Robinson will take office on April 1st. Maybe we're looking at a future senator or congressman there.
Yeah, you know, some people have a good ground game, but he has a good air game since he's such a great wide receiver. But actually, great kid. I mean, just a great young man, very well spoken, and he'll be a great representative for the university.
And you were saying air. We had a little Airedale in the newsroom tonight.
Yeah, a little puppy.
If you stick around all the way through the end, you might be able to see Dean's adorable little dog. It looks like a teddy bear.
That's so cute.
We were like just admiring it, and it's going to come up in the newscast. You'll see it.
We will see what's happening about. Hey, stay tuned. We got some high school basketball. Big game of Brandywine coming up next.